Are you interested in starting a career in medical coding but don't know where to start or what to do? Well, you're in luck because in today's episode, I'm going to be covering getting started in medical coding. Hey everyone, I'm Victoria. I'm a medical coder, auditor, educator, blogger, YouTuber, podcast contributor, and guru in the medical coding field. I am a fellow of the AAPC and I also serve on the AAPC local chapter board of directors. On my channel, I discuss updates and tips and tricks and all kinds of cool stuff going on in the medical coding, auditing, HIM compliance world. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing how to get started in medical coding. So what is medical coding? Medical coding is the process of translating large portions of records and text into medical codes. So it's a lot easier for an insurance company to process codes and set up regulations based off of codes versus big paragraphs of text and narratives. So instead of having to submit the insurance company a big long narrative that an EKG was done, pictures of the EKG, you would just submit a CPT code, a common procedural code, which is 93000. So if the insurance gets the claim and they see that it's for that CPT code, the EKG, they would expect to see maybe a heart-related type of condition. So maybe atrial fibrillation where the heart is beating irregularly. And they would want to see that diagnosis code for that diagnosis matched up with that procedural code, and they would know, okay, this is something we cover, that's a medically necessary diagnosis, we're going to pay that claim. If they get that CPT code though through their system and it says 93000, which they know is EKG, and it says something strange on there like eye pain, then they might go, why the heck are we running an EKG for eye pain? They can have a real easy edit in the system that goes, oh, we're not going to pay for that, and knock that out, send it back to the billing company to take a look at that. So it makes things a lot easier from a technology standpoint to just utilize those codes because they can put edits in place, all kinds of systems for tracking and trending and claim payment. So it really speeds up the process versus having someone read an entire report and go, is this something we pay for or not? So in medical coding, most coders still use books. They do sometimes use what are called an encoder, which are almost like a lookup tool for the codes that are used. So we have a couple different code sets and they're in books. So first is our ICD-10, which is our diagnosis code, the International Classification for Diseases. So those are our diagnosis codes, diabetes, atrial fibrillation, hypertension, foot wound diagnosis codes. Next is our CPT, or current procedural terminology. So these are our procedure codes. Things like a cholecystectomy, a rhinoplasty, an office visit, anesthesia services, any kind of procedure or service that you could think of that you might be billed for. And then we have HCPCS, or the Healthcare Common Procedural Coding System. And this book is a lot of like durable medical equipment, medications, some insurance-specific codes, like our Highmark plans, like specific codes for a female well visit. So a medical coder utilizes either those books or their computer encoder system to find the right codes to submit for the services that were provided and then documented. When we think about schooling for medical coding, you can go to school at your local technical school, your local community college will probably offer classes, and there's a lot of online stuff. Just make sure you really do your research because some of them are a little sketchy. So you want to make sure you go to someone really reputable. I always suggest if you're going to go through the AAPC, like you're looking for one of their credentials, CPC, COC, CIC, go through the AAPC or one of their approved instructors, because they have the official curriculum that they can guide you through. The other option other than AAPC is a HEMA. That's a big decision you have to make when you start thinking about medical coding, is if you want to get certified through AAPC or a HEMA. Most employers only want to hire certified coders, so you have to really look at AAPC and a HEMA and determine what path you want to go through. AAPC people think more so for professional coding, which is coding for physician or provider-based services, and then a HEMA is more coding for inpatient or hospital facility services. classes. If you're looking to just take one of those classes online that's truly just a medical coding class, I would really suggest that you have medical terminology as a prerequisite. I have seen some people online that say, you don't really have to learn medical terminology to be a coder, which is absolutely not true. If you don't learn medical terminology first before you start in medical coding, what's going to basically happen is it's going to slow down your productivity as a coder. It's going to decrease your accuracy as a coder, which means you're going to be stuck in disciplinary meetings all the time with your manager trying to figure out why you're not good at your job. And you want to be good at your job, right? So make sure that you have a good understanding of medical terminology and some anatomy and physiology before you get into learning medical coding, because you want to be successful in your career, so that's something that you want to do. And if you are having to work at all with communicating back and forth to physicians or providers or people in the office even, you want to know that you want to feel that you have a good understanding of what you're speaking to. The AAPC releases an annual medical coding salary survey that you can check online if you're interested in the different types of salaries that are average for that type of coding. So for example, a certified professional coder, a coder that codes professional or provider-based services, earns a median salary of $57,201 a year. Outpatient coders get a little bit more, $65,000 and change. And then inpatient coders make, according to the AAPC, a little over $63,000. So you might want to look at that a little bit depending on if you're salary driven. You can also break it down by state and see what the average salary is for medical billers and coders in your area. You may have heard that a lot of medical coders work from home, and that's true. That might even be a big reason why you are looking into getting into this field. I can tell you that I waited about 12 years until I felt comfortable working from home as a medical coder. Some people do get medical coding remote positions right away. It is very, very slim. Reason being is most places require 2 years of experience before they will even hire you as a coder, and even more so when they want you to work remote. There's just so much that you learn in those first couple of years that you're working on site as a medical coder that you don't always get when you're just working remote. And when you're fresh out of school, it is a little bit more of a liability because you haven't had that experience yet. So what's the job outlook going to look like when you finish your certification? So you may have trouble finding a job. It still depends a lot on you as a person. The certification is not a passive accomplishment. It doesn't really grant you a job. You still have to go through that whole process of interviewing and making sure that you have additional skills beyond coding. So if you're sitting down in an interview, for example, and they see you, oh, you're a certified coder, but you don't know how to send an email or work a spreadsheet, which are essential also requirements for that position, they might not consider you. So, is it going to be tough finding a position? Yes, it's not going to be the floodgates open and you're just going to get a work from home job. So yeah, there's a huge need for medical coders, but more so for experienced medical coders. You have to accept the fact that if you're going to become a certified coder, you might not right away get a coding position. You might have to start working at the front desk, working in billing, anything to start getting your foot in the door, get into the hospital organizations, and then start moving on from there. Now, if you're someone who already works in healthcare, you're an LPN, you're a registrar, you're doing something like that, then you're probably more fitted to start getting a coding job when you're certified and don't have, a lot of the field experience. If you're already in healthcare, you know a little bit about insurances and electronic medical records versus someone who's not worked in healthcare before and has to also learn about all of those kind of nuances. There's a lot of resources, though, that you can just utilize, like externships, mentorship programs, getting to your local chapters for your credentialed organizations, either AAPC or AHIMA. I have a video above that gives some great tips about how to find a job in medical coding once you've got that certification. So definitely, if you haven't already, check that out. So if it was me, my first step would be to check my local community colleges and local technical schools. I actually got a full grant for my medical coding education through my local community college. My next step is if you know someone in medical coding or can get directed to someone in medical coding to ask questions of, hunt them down and talk to them a little bit, see if they're willing to tell you about their experiences in your area as a medical coder. You can check the AAPC website. We have a lot of local chapters in the AAPC, so there might be one in your area, and those officers can help guide you and direct you into what they think might be best successful in the area. And then any school or certification prep that you take, make sure you really, really research it, because you don't want to go to some fly-by-night place that's maybe too good to be true. I always recommend the AAPC. You can get their great curriculum online. They'll ship you out all kinds of books and workbooks to study online, or you can check those independent coding instructors in your area. And then figure out what path you want to take in medical coding. You know, are you just looking to do maybe just billing? Do you want to do provider-based coding, facility coding? There's also risk adjustment coding, which a lot of people are getting started in right now because it is just diagnosis-based coding. Instead of, you know, having to work with 3 different manuals, you only have to work with 1. So a lot of new coders are really enjoying diving into that world and just becoming a master of just the diagnosis-based coding. If you're interested, you think, in becoming a certified risk adjustment coder, definitely check out my website, contempocoding.com. I have an amazing risk adjustment coding program that you can sign up for on there. And then understand that this is an investment. So you're investing your time, you're investing in books, you're investing in courses, and that it's not going to be an overnight instant gratification type of thing. You have to invest a lot into yourself to get that return on investment. So if you're interested in becoming a medical coder and you still have questions, drop them in the comment section below and I'll help you out. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. And if you have friends that are interested in medical coding, please make sure you share it with them. And if you want to keep on following my journey in medical coding, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell for the alerts so that you never miss another episode. I'll see you in the next episode, and until then, just keep on coding on.